Well, hello, and welcome back to Thriving Artists, the Daily Joyride. I mean, we are so on the roller coaster, and today's episode is so much about how we can have the experience of being on that ride, throwing our hands up in the air, but also having our hands on the levers. This episode has to do with choosing our lives moment by moment, such that we gain agency, dominion, and authorship over the trajectory of our lives. Speaking of choosing, I invite you to make the choice to be with us in this next round of acting classes that we have coming up in person, IRL, in Burbank, California. We're going to be starting the series July 8th, and we're going to have 4 luscious classes where we get to dig in the hands of the greatest writers on the planet with a group of just the most magically delicious collaborators. So if you have a hankering to create, or if you're interested in just soaking it in, tasting the honey, seeing what actors do behind the scenes to train and develop themselves, join us as an auditor. You're welcome to sign up. All of the information is in the show notes. You can always email me at robyn@cohenactingstudio.com. I will personally make sure that you are taken care of. And follow this joyride on Instagram. We're at Robyn Cohen Acting Studio. Feel free to also check out what we're up to at the studio by going to www.cohenactingstudio.com. Again, it's all in the show notes for your viewing pleasure. Speaking of pleasure, we have the amazing Anna K. Morris on the show today. You're about to experience a conversation that's going to get to the really of what it means to be alive on this joyride. The highs, the lows, the despair, the ecstasy, the grief. Anna really provides in this conversation such a sense of we're not alone. We're all in it together, and she goes deep. She is a coach. She's a mom. She's one of the most entertaining humans I know, and the warmth of her heart is just amazing. You literally feel like you're basking in the warmth of her glow. So fasten your seatbelts and get ready to ride with the amazing Anna K. Morris. Here we go. Well, hello, and welcome back to Thriving Artists, the Daily Joyride. I was just speaking with Anna about how this feels like it's such a long time coming, and we just enjoyed the most amazing dance party. So it's getting hot in here in the best way. And for those of you that haven't met Anna yet or know about the work that she does in the world, here's a little bit about Anna K. Morris. Anna is a coach and consultant for almost 20 years and is deeply invested in people fully living lives without their constraints. Anna helps clients feel it all, not just have it all. She uses journaling, subconscious reprogramming, mindset transformation, and self-care as a way to truly have a life you love. That is my jam. How do we create a life that we love? Her podcast, Have It All, asks listeners to consider what they really want and will they allow themselves to receive it all. Anna K. Morris, I am so glad you're here. Welcome to the show. Woo!
Thank you. It's such a delight. You're like, we met one time on the street in LA. No idea anything about you at all whatsoever. And I was like, she's like a human glitter. Like, I think, and I said to Siri, I think the other day, I was like, she's just like Tinkerbell. I just want to put her in my pocket and just bring her around everywhere. So
I literally was just in a production of Peter Pan.
Were you really?
I did not play Tinkerbell, but you better believe I was backstage with my castmates acting out all of Tinkerbell's non-line lines because it's not language. She just makes sounds of delight, right? So that's what we did for the entire run of the show. So Anna, I have to dive right into this. First of all, I do want to say, yes, we did meet on the street in Los Angeles. And one of the things that has always dazzled me about you is like you occur to me as like a Hollywood, like a very famous Los Angeles or New York SNL comedian. Like in addition to being a wizard and a coach and someone that helps people heal their hearts and heal their lives, I'm like, does she have a one-woman show? Like, is she going to go on tour onto Broadway with a one-woman show? Like, where do I see her Netflix series? Where is her television show? Like, is it a sitcom? Is it a single camera comedy? You occur for me that way. Like, do you have a field of experience in this world of arts and crafts, as I like to call it? You're like this master comedian improviser at like UCB or like Second City. Why is that? Were you a groundling? Are you a groundling? For those of
Oh,
you who don't know what the groundlings are, the groundlings are like
Google it.
the number one comedy troupe in the world that kind of feeds into the
What's,
Saturday Night Live cast.
yeah, what's the one in New York that I used to always
There's UCB, the groundlings.
Underground Upright Citizens Brigade?
Great.
That UCB. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That was the
Like,
one.
do you teach classes there? What's
No, but I want to be now, and I'm really excited about this. So this is actually a perfect segue
okay?
because the reason I do what I do is because yes to all of that, and you can see that I'm not doing it right. So why? Because that didn't work in my family. And for me to, the word that comes to mind is survive. For me to be in my family, be accepted, be tolerable, be palatable, survive, right? That wasn't going to work. I did one play. It was the best time of my whole life.
What was the play?
Romeo and Juliet, some
A light comedy, Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah, but it wasn't it. I felt like I was with my people and they were weirdos. I'm using air quotes. You can't see me. You're on a podcast, right? And they were weirdos. And I got taken right out of that. And I was a state champion swimmer. And I went on to be in a sorority at Southern Methodist University in Dallas, just like I was supposed to. And I wore clothes from Ann Taylor and I dressed like I was a 30-year-old CPA. And I had a mentor when I was asking him where I should go after graduation. I studied at corporate communications and public affairs. I have no idea what that means. I've never once, I mean, it's a degree, I suppose, yes. But like the actual act of it, like no joy, no satisfaction, 5 internships, kept hoping I would eventually like something, right? And this mentor said, I think you should move to New York. And I was like, that wasn't an option. Like I gave you a job offer that I got in Austin and a job offer in Dallas. He was like, yeah, I think you're a big fish in a little pond and you need to go be a little fish. So I moved to New York when I was 21. 3 months later, 9/11 happened.
Oh my God.
3 months after that, my parents split up.
Wow.
And so New York raised me, right? 21 to 32 years old, I was in New York.
Okay.
And I tried it all, except for like major hardcore drugs. I liked it way too much. I was also very aware of an addictive personality of myself. And so luckily did not land in rehab. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I'm just grateful that I knew enough to stop. And even though I love what I do, hearing you say all of that, I'm like, yeah, Robyn, and it's not over yet.
Wow. Right.
So
Right.
sure. If you study anything like human design, I don't know if you're familiar. Okay, you are. It says that my life starts at 50. So I'm like, great. Like all of those things could still be true. I don't know. But I know that I'm supposed to fuck things up till I'm 30, which I did. And then from 30 to 50, I try everything. I get better. I become like the expert that I'll be at 50. And I'm like, this all tracks. And so then maybe SNL, maybe I'll be the first cast member who's 55 when they hire me. Like, I don't know. But yes, because I was doing that since I was a child. What I was actually doing, my arts and crafts, was directing music videos, was putting on plays, was writing something, performing that. We had 3 sisters that we were friends with. I grew up in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan where nobody's ever been. Like tiny, on Lake Superior. And these 3 girls that we were friends with around the corner had an actual stage in their house for performances.
Wow.
I remember what it smelled like. I don't remember the houses I grew up in, but I remember that place, right? There's a piano on the corner. Like, so yes. And that was very, very scary to my parents to have.
And therefore to you.
Yeah. Well, but I needed their acceptance.
Yes.
Very much so. Paramount over anything else. Certainly over my own happiness, joy, like I couldn't, yeah, it was a pretty, like my family life I never felt grounded.
Yeah.
So I wasn't going to do anything
Yeah.
extra to rock the boat,
Yeah.
like no matter how much I might want that, it would come at the cost of my own survival.
Yeah.
Now, again, as a kid, you don't know that. You're just trying to, and people talk a lot about people pleasing and, so sure. But this was like, I was willing to become somebody else.
Yeah. To fit in, to belong. Can I isolate this word for a minute?
Sure.
Acceptance.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on a rampage. I am in the rabbit hole.
Mm-hmm.
Almost since we 36 hours ago decided to do this,
Yeah, right.
I have been thinking about this vortex of acceptance and
Mm-hmm.
what
Yeah.
acceptance means.
Mm-hmm.
They're just words until they're true, until they
Mm-hmm.
vibrate in you, but how
Mm-hmm.
acceptance and love are connected. And
Mm-hmm.
what you just shared with me about needing to survive, to belong, so that you could literally live. I get
Mm-hmm.
that completely. I was doing that inside of an arts and crafts existence. I
Mm-hmm.
thought in order to live, I needed their approval.
Mm-hmm.
Bravo, bravo. Well done. Well done.
Yeah,
And then I could take my next breath. Then I could live another day if I got
sure.
their stamp of approval on
Yeah,
stage.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
I was performing for my life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The front of the hand, back of the hand, right?
Right.
Flip side of the same exact coin.
Well, and it's very much like whatever your family of origin, society, right? It's more than just your family of origin. It's what everybody around you is like, this is acceptable. This
Yeah.
is what we will tolerate.
Yeah.
This isn't too scary for us. We can handle this,
Yeah.
right? And it wasn't that even like the acting or performing, it wasn't that. It was late nights. Nothing good happens at night. I remember that, hearing that a lot,
Mm. The
right?
tropes.
Yeah.
Right.
I grew up with like a really in the highest teen pregnancy rate of the
In
United.
Michigan. This is in
No, because at this point we'd moved to Texas.
got
So
it.
yeah, so we lived between Michigan and Texas, but moved to Texas when I was 8. And so as a teenager, it was the highest teen pregnancy rate in the state. And then Texas was the highest in the country.
Wow.
I'm talking like 47%.
Those are
So
major
like
stats, major stats.
major stats. So, even though, yes, I'm top of my class, yes, I'm a swim, yes, all of these things, like my parents were, and I'm careful to say my parents, because my dad wasn't, I don't remember him being so active in like the parenting aspect, but specifically, my mom really wanted to keep us busy
Yeah.
so that there wasn't trouble.
The devil's playground, all that
Yeah.
jazz.
Yeah. And so, I remember being in this play and there were like gay kids and bisexual, and this was like 90s. This
Yeah.
wasn't like now. That's
Yeah.
like not a thing, like whatever now.
Yeah.
But there, it was like, even though my mother's best friend was gay, totally, but like they didn't talk about it, wasn't,
Right.
it's
Right.
just, it was just different. And so I get the fear and I get where it's coming from. And that's where I work with people.
Yes. It's
Right.
so that they have
Yeah.
this thing of choice. I
Right.
hear you like, oh, it's on. Like, look out, world. You don't know about me. You don't know
Right.
about me. This is on. I hear that choice, that agency, like hands on the lever.
Yeah.
And I'm actually enthralled by this idea of choice because at the moment, and I know because I know a little bit about what's going on in your world as well, like this idea of choice, but in the Uber, in the meta, like I choose this for no reason. I choose this because I choose it.
There you go.
But if I'm really choosing this because I choose it without my reasons, without my rationales, without my list of why and why not, I choose it because I choose it. I hear that in your voice in terms of these next chapters. Like I choose it because I choose it. The wholeness of that, the agency of that. And also as part of that, I'm seeing how Choosing is a segue to acceptance, which creates the elbow room to actually create. So when I say I choose acting because I choose acting, I'm also interested in I choose this diagnosis because I choose this diagnosis. I choose this heartbreak because I choose this heartbreak. I choose my mom. I choose that betrayal. Not that it's wonderful or that I like it, but there's something about choosing like a boss, all of it. Like if I can choose all of it, like I choose my friend ghosting me. I choose it. I choose that they laughed at me. I choose that they went another way at the audition. I choose that they didn't pay me for that. I choose that I got the part. I choose that I didn't. I choose my life exactly the way that it is. And here's the hard part. Here's the hard part. This is what I've been grappling with for 36 hours. I choose it exactly the way that it is. And I choose it exactly the way that it is not. That's the part that has been missing for me for a long time. I've been choosing the things that were like, yeah, this is what I said I wanted to do. But in truth, I've been resisting the flip side of it. And I've been looking into this word love as it relates to acceptance, as it relates to choice. And I think I'm now starting to recently understand what love is when you love another person or yourself. When you love another person or yourself, I think love, I think real love might be. I'm just sort of kicking the tires on this, but I think it's, I love you exactly the way that you are. And I love you exactly the way that you're not.
Yep.
I love you exactly the way that you are. And I love you exactly the way that you're not. There's like a peace that's been coming over me because I've been in resistance to half of my life. Like half of my life, I'm like, no, that's not it. No, 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 no. Right. But if it's like, I choose that it's 110 degrees outside and my air conditioner died, like it's not working. Right. I choose it. I choose my broken air conditioner because that choice creates space. It gives me elbow room to actually make the next choice. Make the next choice. It gives me space that opens up a landscape for like choosing to call up a new AC person, choosing to get a whole new unit in my house. Like I choose this broken air conditioner unit. I know this sounds bananas, but this is actually happening in my life. Like I choose this breakdown. I choose it. And in choosing it, it disappears it. It disappears it so I can then move.
The only problem ever that we ever have is our resistance.
And we're resistance machines. That's the thing.
Right.
That's what's so funny. It's the only problem, and it's the ever, already, always problem.
So all
We're
there
designed
is
that
to
way.
do is just look at what am I resisting here? Oh, I'm resisting being really hot. Okay, I could just pull my hair up, take my clothes off, get in a cold shower. Like I could actually do things to feel better. And I could also just like sit here and feel what it feels like
Yeah.
to be really hot, to feel the sweat dripping down my neck,
Yeah.
in my arm. Now it's in my underwear, it's everywhere. Like I could just, it's the caged animal fighting against it. And what I always think of is Nelson Mandela on Robben's Island, right? And when we were in South Africa, we were there for a while. I couldn't go. I mean, they like have like trips where you can go to Robin's. I was like, yeah, I don't need that experience because it was so vivid in my brain. And he was not miserable because that was also a choice.
Mm-hmm.
He was wrongfully imprisoned, right? For what it was, 20 years, I think.
Yeah.
And he was like, they can have my body, but they don't get my mind.
Yeah. Man's search for meaning. Same. Yeah.
That's not for them. That's for me. And there's this one thing that I always think of is I am source. I am source. The world is a reflection of me.
I choose the grief. I choose the sadness. I
Well,
choose
because
the
the thing
disappointment.
is, okay, so my mother just died and now
Yeah.
my father is dying. So my mother passed mid-December and now what is this? July 1st is tomorrow and my father stage 4 bladder cancer in his lungs. very different experiences, right? My mom's was very, very sudden, but I knew I had had a moment. My dog died the month before she was diagnosed, and she lived next door to me. We were very close, obviously. And I walked by her house mourning the death of my dog, my beloved dog. Mm-hmm. And clear as day to me, he said, "She's next." And I could feel it in the trees. And I was like, I must have gotten that wrong. That can't. Okay, calm down, Barney. That was his name, Barney. I was like, calm down, Barney. Of course, I'm like now negotiating with a dog voice in my head. Like, this is great. There's the play. There's the show we're writing. That'll be part of it. And then 2 weeks later, a friend of mine leads amazing retreats, Albina Rippey. She's extraordinary. And she was leading a nearby retreat outside of Austin, Texas, in the hill country. And she was like, you've had a really crummy couple of weeks. Come to my retreat. Come for the day. I don't have beds, but like, come for the day. It'll be great. And I got there and I see this woman who the last time I saw her was 5 years prior in Greece. And we'd been on a retreat in Greece. So there we are in the hill country. And she tells me that during COVID, she moved in with her parents. And then out of nowhere, because one of them had Alzheimer's, which my father has Alzheimer's. And then out of nowhere, the healthy one died. And then 6 months later, the one with Alzheimer's died. And I remember thinking, why are we talking about this? And then later in the day, I was next to her again, and it came up again. I think it came up either 2 or 3 times. And so I'm driving home, like 7 o'clock, the sun is setting, September. And I asked the universe, what are you trying to tell me? Mm. And clear as day, it said, Mm. And 2 weeks later, my mother was diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. And 2 months later, she died. And none of it was a surprise. That's the honest to God truth. I didn't like it. I wish it would have been different. And I always, like when my husband would talk about like, where are we going to care for your mother when she gets older? Like, would we build onto the house or would we buy something? Like, I couldn't see her old. It wasn't of it. Like, I couldn't envision her an old lady. She worked full time. She walked 5 miles a day. We had a brownie truffle company together. Like, I couldn't wrap my head around her old. And I see very clearly why. And I believe that we all know this stuff. It's only that I practice it a lot because I was so willing to abandon it. And I was so taught to not listen to it. And it made me really, really unhappy, miserable. And I think that the real misery was the shame that I felt, that I'd been, born into it. I mean, you could say there was abuse in my family, like psychologically, sure, maybe, like in all of ours, who knows? But like, I wasn't beat up as a kid. I mean, I wasn't malnourished. I live in a first world country, genetic lottery, right? I'm white, I'm a female, upper middle class. Yeah. And the shame that I felt being unhappy was just so isolating. I don't have the study, I should look it up, but like monkeys in this study of like belonging or food, belonging is what wins. And that was 100% me. And what was neat about living in New York was I got to try on a lot of different identities. Yeah. Because for the first time ever, I was anonymous. Nobody knew me. Right. There was no social media. Like, there was none of that. I was from a small town, both in Michigan and outside of Austin, Texas. And everybody knew me. I couldn't do shit without my mom getting a call, right? So it was just a really fun and scary. I mean, I'm lucky to be alive in some ways, right? I took some real risks, some real dumb choices.
New York City in your 20s. Right? Yeah. Sky's the limit, right?
Yeah. I remember at one point having a fling with like a professional boxer who's like, arm was the size of my thigh. I had a cast on. I'd broken my wrist in another situation where I'd been drinking too much at a concert. Yeah, anyway, as one does. So I have a cast and I'm driving on the back of his motorcycle at 2 o'clock in the morning. And I'm like, what am I doing? Like, I remember the next day I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm home. I can't believe I'm alive right now. I can't believe like, whoa, I really like
angels. You got lots and lots.
Wasn't my time yet.
No.
But I sure did, get right up against it. And the point of all of that is it's only the resistance. Like I watched my mother really suffer in her last 2.5 months, and it was her resistance. This shouldn't be happening to me. Like she was so angry and then sad and victimized and like, so there was that experience. Yeah. And then there was a night where she accepted it, and it was only with me, and it was fleeting, and it was just magical. And she ate dessert. I'd never seen her eat dessert in her whole life. And she shopped, all day with me. And I said, Mom, I've never seen you shop, and I've never seen you eat dessert ever, not ever. And I said, I didn't know you liked those things. And she said, no, I just would never let myself. And I think I got this cancer so that I could finally enjoy my life. Oh. And so I am on a mission, and I already was, but that like just even more so, right? Of like that doesn't have to be the way we live, period.
Yeah.
So thank you, because you are reminding me of that part of me, like that we started with the I Feel Like Dancing. I could have given you a million different songs, but like when I'm in my truest self, I am not thinking. I am always in some kind of a dance. I'm always moving around, big arm movements. Yeah. And I remember one of my darkest moments was I had a miscarriage, but I had it on a ski trip, and it was the altitude. And my doctor said that I was fine, and I did not want to go. And I went anyway. And what I was furious about was that I knew better. I knew not to go, but I wanted my husband to get to go skiing.
Yeah.
And then I killed my baby. And what got me out of bed, because I was in bed for a month, was improv. Yeah.
What?
It was at the Zach Theater in Austin, Texas.
What?
Yeah.
What do you mean? A class? You went to a class?
Of course. Basics. I was in there, like, I'm like, 40 years old and like slithering around like a snake with like a bunch of like, I just assumed everybody was like 22, 20. Like it was the best, because I wasn't thinking anymore. Like the only way I got through this last year is like, I do this workout. It's a workout that I do in my bathroom. It's like a blend of yoga, Pilates, and bar. But I can't think during it because it's so hard. And I'm balancing on one leg and I've got another leg up. And this girl's so positive and it's kind of annoying. But like, it's for me, it's when I'm in my body, we're safe.
It saved my life personally.
Yeah.
In the dance saved my life.
Right.
Literally.
Just any of it, dance, like it's all the same. Yoga, I don't care. But this mind, while helpful, is helpful sometimes. It's helpful to help me drive, right? I need it to drive a car. My dad needed it to fly airplanes, yes. But it's also very much in the way. Very much so. Our intuition, our ability to know what is for us and what is not for us is inside.
And it's our superpower.
100%. I am so frustrated by what I keep seeing with AI. And it's not that AI is bad. It's not. But let's look at the words. It is artificial intelligence. And I had a friend recently who was like, yeah, I want to make $5,000 a month extra on top of what I make. And so I asked Claude, at 2 o'clock in the morning when I couldn't sleep what I should do. And Claude said, is Claude a male? I don't even know. They said that I could make some extra cash by wholesaling houses. Now, my husband and I have a real estate investing company. I've been in that world for a long time and I have a background in sales. This friend of mine has 4 dogs, but she would have 40 if she could. That's how big her heart is. In no world could she wholesale a house from a distressed buyer and then like go and do like, no. What concerns me is that there's an outward looking of what is actually an inside answer.
Artificial intelligence versus
right.
universal intelligence.
Right. Versus accurate information, which is inside, which is when I'm dancing, I'm like, oh man, this would be, oh my gosh, I should have a workshop. Oh my gosh, no, it's a retreat. And then Robyn would come, and that's
right.
where the juice is.
Yeah.
What we're creating like we're kids can be all the time.
Is that literally what you pull out from your toolkit, that belt where you're like, when you shared about resistance and what you, God bless you, God bless your mother and father, and God bless them, earth angels and angels amidst us. My brother is among them. My brother at 37 was diagnosed with a brain tumor that killed him at 38 when he had a 2-year-old and a 3-year-old. And the resistance that I felt to his dying almost killed me. Yeah. I can only imagine, and I can imagine having lost my brother, who was the closest person to me in the world, even though you knew it like you knew it through the conversation with your puppy, through the conversation with these light workers that you met up with at the retreat, in your own knowing, in the fiber of your beings, you knew that something was coming like this. How did you manage your own? You saw your mom's resistance. How did you manage your own? Because when I lost Adam on the earthly plane, I didn't know at that time that my whole life would then become a love letter to him, which it has. I mean, my whole podcast, Thriving Artist, the Daily Joyride, it's all a love letter to Adam, my brother, who was a Shakespeare professor that also loved sports. But how do you manage it? It's recent with mom and you're going through it with dad. How do you manage your own resistance? Like, hell no. I mean, my conversations with God in the almost year between Adam's diagnosis, the surgery, and his death, I was like, no, hell no, this can't happen. This actually can't happen, because if this can happen, then all bets are off. And I don't know my God. And my life got really messy because I became borderless. When he died. And I hurt myself and the people around me. I lost my faith. I lost my way. And the reclaiming of that is the glitter that you see, like gangbusters, like a dam bursting, particularly because it was quarantined for so long, my joy, but it was his dying wish that I find it in my lifetime, like your mother spoke to you about. Like, I never let myself have the joy. Before Adam died, the last word that he said before he passed was lucky. He said it twice, actually. The last word he uttered on earth before he died was the word lucky. He said it twice, like, I've been lucky. I've been lucky. And when we are in the bowels of what feels like hell on earth, how do you manage that resistance? How could this happen? Why, God, out of nowhere? They're gone. So is it moving? Do you get up? I mean, I start to sometimes speak the speeches, Shakespeare, the Greek tragedies. Maybe I'll work on Lady Macbeth right now, right? Maybe I'm going to bring some Hermione to this grief and rage to manage this. If, right, powers divine behold our human actions as they do, I doubt not, right? I'll just go into it like dancing, right? So I'm curious, like, how, and for the people listening, how do we manage when we're like, no, this cannot happen. This can't happen. And then it happens. And then it's happening. So now what do we do? Do we dance? Like, literally, what do you do? What do we do?
So I already knew what it was like I didn't have an experience of fighting against what was happening, but I was highly experienced in not dealing with it. So I was really great at just being fine. And I think that I work with a lot of clients that are in that space, and a lot of, in particular, women. Well, plenty of my clients who are men too, same. And it's a coping mechanism, right? Like I watched 9/11 happen, but my family was also imploding. And so like I did not deal with 9/11 until 6 years later. Like there was a trailer that came out and I fell apart. And I realized like, oh, because I never actually felt how terrifying that was. I watched it happen. And I was on my way to the World Trade Center, like when it happened. And I never processed it, never spoke to anybody about it. We went to Carmine's for dinner. I ate garlic bread. That's what I remember. And then I was fine. So that's very much how I got through the delegating, tasking, planning the celebration of life. Now I'm cleaning out our house. Like, give me a project. I'm not the execution person, but I will find all the people, right? In human design, I'm a projector. So I will like top of the, like, and then I will make it all beautiful and work. And then I will go hide. Now, what was different, however, is that around the time, I don't remember when it was exactly, a friend of mine who I admire greatly invited me to do some kind of a training. I didn't know anything about it. I thought it was like a weekend. She was like, well, do you want me to tell you about it? I was like, no, I mean, you do it every year? She's like, yeah, I do it every year. And I was like, well, I'll do it. It's fine. I love you. I think you're brilliant. Like, whatever you're doing, I'm doing. We're going to jump off a cliff. Let's jump off a cliff. Cool. She's like that for me. So then it's approaching, and I think around the time that my mother passes away, my mother passed suddenly. Like she fell and broke her hip and then died 4 days later. So like we didn't know that it was going to be 2 months. I thought she'd get to May to see like my son's kindergarten graduation. Like we kind of had a 6 to 8 or 9 month. We thought if we managed the pain, we had round the clock care, we could get through this for a while. So that was very sudden. But my mom also, I think, subconsciously did that because she didn't want to be sick and she didn't want people in her house and she didn't want all the caregivers and the medicine and all of that stuff. She was not interested in it. That all to say, I get the information for this training and it's not a weekend and it's not a couple $100. It is 11 days. Yeah, because I was so resistant to it. I had to do an 11th day. It's supposed to be 10, but I was so resistant. And it was 3 weeks after my mom died. Now, I had signed up for this months in advance, not knowing, but I did know. I had a feeling I was going to need something that was going to teach me a different way to do this.
What kind of training? Was this a retreat for personal development or for healing specifically? Or
no, not specifically. It was, I didn't know it. Again, I did not know what I was signing up for.
You just said yes.
And it was thousands of dollars. I went to I was like, oh, I'm sorry. It's like $3,500. Like, this is no joke. What the hell am I doing? And then Derek was like, well, you're still going to do it, right? And I was like, I mean, I think I have to. I mean, I just love this person. Like, she's brilliant. I mean, the way she embodies all of it, I'm like, I'd like to know.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. It's rather than putting it aside or compartmentalizing it or resisting it, you're actually taught to lean into the feeling, really learn how to feel it, and it goes away like magic. Now, it is a practice. And then I did an advanced training in, I think, April. So I did another 10 days, right? And it was exactly what I needed. And so I'm very good at paying attention to when things drop in my lap. Like this series podcast, I haven't worked in 6 months, I should say. Mm-hmm. I wrapped up with clients. I got no new clients. I had 3 clients come to me and none of them hired me. Like the universe knew, like,
you're in chrysalis, of course, right. Of course.
The first time for me to speak publicly was last Friday on that podcast. I shouldn't say, I did one in-person event for a women's expo. And so then when you messaged me, I was like, okay, and that's happening. And I'm like, okay, this looks like what's happening. And as long as it feels aligned, I say yes. You're happening.
That's what's happening. We're just like, I want some of that. Anna.
Yeah. Well, and the thing with grief is that, like, okay, well, here's the truth, Robyn. There was a lot of my mom that was also in the way of the love that she really had. And so now I find it. Why? Because I'm looking. I'm actively looking for her love. I see it on a white-winged dove that's always up on this telephone wire. I walk my dogs. I see that we adopted a puppy 3 weeks after my mom died.
Oh,
Not because I wanted to adopt a puppy,
no.
but because we were doing a kindness bucket list. You scratch off a card and it tells you what to do. And my mother's mantra was be kind.
Yeah.
Be kind. And she told the boys that be kind and be a leader. So we lead from kindness and we're doing this kindness bucket list. The first card says to go to the animal shelter and volunteer to walk dogs. We go January 9th. My mother has died December 16th. I've got my dad in the car who has Alzheimer's. We don't know at that point that he's dying. That just happened a month ago. So he's in the car. I've got the two boys, 4 and 6 years old. No, at the time they were 3 and 6. And I'm like, we are not adopting a dog. And as I say it, I'm like, that's a lie. We're not adopting a dog. But I'm really going to make them think that we are not adopting a dog. So, and I was like, but it's unlikely because I want a girl. I want her to look like Barney. I want her to be a puppy. Like those dogs don't exist at the animal shelter. You get like the old ones that, you know, like nobody wants anymore and they bark too much. And we know we rescue dogs. Anyway, I walk in, 2 feet in front of me is a litter of 7 puppies that had been abandoned 2 hours prior. They never get puppies. I pick up the one that looks exactly like Barney. I carry her around, not adopting her, just getting some puppy cuddles, still talking to the lady about where the leashes are and we're going to go walk the dogs. And my dad is now like wants to leave. He gets him situated back in the car, make sure he doesn't run off. And then I walk back in and Jack is like, when Coconut's with us next week, can I be the one to feed her? And I was like, who's Coconut? And he was like, our dog, you're holding her right now. And I was like, she's got 2 brown eyes and she's all white. And our other dog had 1 brown eye patch and then like Cleopatra eye makeup. And and we did not take the dog home. I went home. The next morning I journaled to God and I said, what should I do? Like, I don't like about this dog. And God very clearly said, you said you wanted a dog that looked like Barney. You said you wanted a girl. You said you wanted a puppy. You said you wanted a rescue. Tell me what exactly you're asking me right now. And I was like, yeah, sorry about that. I'll go get the dog. I'm so sorry. How silly of me.
Sorry. Lo siento. That means I'm sorry in Spanish.
So then the next week was that training. So I did that training while we had some weird snowstorm in Texas with a puppy in a freaking basket, like Little Red Riding Hood basket. And it was like a dream. And it was my mother's gift. It was my mother's gift. It was Barney's gift to me. It's all a gift. There's a blue jay that comes outside my window. My mother was always like, blue jays are mean. I'm like, that's because they're so pretty. And they probably have the right to be because they're gorgeous. You know what? Blue jays aren't mean. They're protectors of their family, just like my mother. The day she died, a blue jay showed up right in front of my window. Shows up every day. Every day I worked. Because I saw clients the day after. They saved my life. Because I wasn't thinking about myself, because this wasn't a good time. Mm-hmm. Right? But I could see my own humanity and their humanity. I mean, it's like, it's all a gift.
Yeah.
If you choose to see it as a gift. My dad says that he's atheist. Okay. And then as the chaplain because he's on hospice, as the chaplain is standing there and I'm like, I mean, I told you, he says he's an atheist. I said, but just wait. And then the next thing he says is, she says, have you seen, any, I forget what it was. Oh, that's what it was. Is there anything that you're enjoying today? And he looks at her like she's crazy. And he says, every single moment is a miracle. He said, this whole thing is a miracle, isn't it?
Yeah.
Isn't it just a miracle? I get to be a dad. Look at her. Look at her. This is the father who I was terrified of, who I didn't speak to for 10 years, who is a narcissist, verbally abusive, wives left him, alcoholic, like,
Yeah.
but then he got Alzheimer's and I got my dad. People are like, oh, I'm so sorry your dad's slipping away. Are you kidding me? He slipped to exactly the best place that he could have ever slipped to.
Alzheimer's. Choose.
He's like a dream.
Choose.
He's like the dad I never knew I could have.
Choose.
It's always a choice. Even when it was sad, even when I couldn't get out of bed, what I did was I stayed in bed. That's what I did.
Yes.
And I cried until eventually the tears dried up. And I'll never forget, my son was playing his first scrimmage. He was doing baseball. And it was a Saturday afternoon and the family had left. And I was like, I can't be around people. And my mother was like, really? Jack's not going to have you there cheering him on because you're going to lay in bed sad about me? You've got to be kidding me. Because my mom was the one that did all his baseball stuff and loved, that was like their thing. And so then I got to be that person.
Anna, how do you keep the portals open? How do you keep the channels open so you can hear them? Is this the writing you do? How do you keep these channels open so that you can just be literally in such strong connection in this way?
Because I don't have a lot of resistance anymore. Because I don't like going slow. And when I resist, I go slow. So journaling, for sure. I wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning. It's the first thing I do.
You have a particular prompt or structure?
No. I give them to all my clients. I've been doing it for 18 years. A lot of times lately, I feel like it's just complete trash that I write.
Good. Take the garbage out in the morning.
And I keep writing. But you know what? My son wanted to quit this little, like a youth club that he's going to because it's a lot of kids. He's used to a small private school. And more importantly, I have him there because I am concerned about his ability to adapt and his resilience. And we've gone through a major loss in our family, and adaptability and resilience are everything.
Yeah.
And he, yesterday morning, called me every name under the sun, physically hit me, kicked me, threw things at me. It was my worst nightmare, right? I have 2 boys. I'm terrified. And I coach sometimes clients who have their children hit them, like as teenagers and bigger boys, right? So to have that happen was really scary. And I questioned what I was doing. Am I doing the right thing by sending him? And I went to my journal and I'm like, what else have I done as a parent that was hard? And I questioned myself and it was the right move. I was like, oh, survival swim class. They have both fallen in our pool and both saved themselves. They can swim around a boat with no water wings or a life vest on at 4 and 6 years old. They are not afraid of the water. They've never worn water wings in their life. They can swim down to the bottom of a pool at any time. And I sat in the car every single lesson and cried and wondered whether or not I was doing the right thing. Because it's really, if you've ever done ISR, it's like infant safety something, it's like they get waterboarded for 10 minutes. It's really, really rough. Like they teach them to fall in, get on their back, and then get to the side. But it's like they're 6 months old. We started them at 6 months old. So that was really brutal. And I would do it every single summer. I would do it all over again. So I pulled from that. So that's what I love about journaling. I look at my past experience and I say, have I ever done something that I've questioned, but I knew was right and I didn't like how it was feeling, but I stayed with it and it paid off? Yes. Okay. Why are you sending your kids to this youth club? Is it because you want to eat bonbons and watch Netflix all day? No. It's because I want my kids to be adaptable and resilient. So to cut to the end of it, we pick them up at 3:30 yesterday. Jack comes running out of the youth club, jumps into my arms, kisses me, says, Mommy, that was the best day of my life. I made a new friend. Now, that was June 29th. He's been in this youth club for 29. It has been a journey. It's been rough.
Yeah.
And then today I was like, today's your last day. I only paid for the month of June. I can't, what do you mean I can't go? So just wanted to check and see if you did really enjoy it. So now we'll keep going. So, but it's because I knew. Now, again, did I like him yelling at me? And no, of course not. It almost broke me. And my son and my husband took them to the youth club yesterday. And I looked at him and I was like, I just want to make sure we're aligned. He was like, what do you mean? I was like, you can't back down. They have to go. Are you able to take them? And no matter what, because I had a standoff with one of them for 45 minutes in front of everybody. And I didn't cave. And I was like, can you do that? And he was like, yes. And I said, okay, please do that. And I said, and if you don't, you better hide that kid and I better never find out about it. He was like, no, I can do it. And he did. And I went, and so it's journaling and then it's walking, because you've got to then feel it. You've got to embody it. And when I say walking, do not tell me about the podcast you listen to. Do not tell me about the music you listen to. Nothing.
Right.
You listen to the birds.
Right.
You listen to whatever your own thoughts are. You delight in the fact that your dog's, like Coconut has her nose up. She's literally like, oh, what a day. Like, whoa, look at all this. Like,
Okay, I have to ask you this, Anna.
yeah.
But I have to know because it's important to me. Do you, as part of your life's work,
Mm.
do you look in the mirror and look at the starlight coming out of your eyes? Do you look in the mirror and look at the stardust that is reverberating off of your skin? Do you look at yourself and say, yeah, there's the miracle, there's the rustling of the leaves, there's the blue jay, there's the gleam in the eye, do you do that? Do you look in the mirror
Mm.
and look at the holiness, the sacred corporal temple that is you, embodied by a spirit undeniable and a once in a cosmos being that is there to give love and light to the world so big it takes your breath away? Because I see that in you every moment of this conversation, every interaction we've ever had, actually. So do you do that to yourself, with yourself, for yourself?
No, I've got one even better. I feel it.
We're going to do a two-person show. You're going to wipe the floor with me, and I can't wait.
Sounds great. Yeah, and it's funny because I think like aging and, it was like my skin was really dry. I was like, oh, I should probably do something about that. And maybe and there are all these like red light masks and all these things that you could do for skin stuff. And again, aging to look better and different and whatever. And at the end of the day, I'm never going to do any of it.
Why?
Because I'm just not that interested.
Right.
I'm really, really interested in feeling proud of myself, in watching my kids thrive because of something hard that I had to do in order to get them over the hump, right? And I see myself in what you're sharing with me and in the people in my life because I choose them.
Yeah.
And they reflect back because I think, we touched a little bit on human design. Projectors in particular, I'm great at seeing other people, harder to see myself.
Right.
So it's not something that I actively am looking at. But what's fun is that I see myself reflected in all of the beautiful people. And I know I am the cause of it.
Yeah.
And I know it's not luck. And I know it's not an accident.
Right.
I know it's been all of the choices along the way. And the more I choose myself, the more I choose my own truth, whether I like it or not, the more it's reflected in the people around me.
Yeah. You said you were 6 months into the sort of reconstitution of life in the aftermath of a process that can sometimes will likely be a lifelong process. A decade after my brother's death, it changes. The grief never goes away, but it morphs. It morphs and it transmutes. And I offer you this, you said it had been a minute since you've been on the work front. I just offer you, and you know it, but just to reflect what you're speaking to me through your soul, you have time.
Mm. Yeah.
You have time.
Yeah. And, I think that the only, it's been very different to watch my mother die and my father die. There was also a big age difference. So my mom was 77, my dad's 89. My dad's complete. He would like to leave, I think.
Mm.
My mother wasn't. And so I'm watching like resistance and non-resistance really play out.
Mm.
And one's not better or right or wrong or whatever. It's just somebody said to me once that however you die is how you lived.
Yeah. Certainly, there's a lens through which you will go back and see your life, or others will. Beginnings and endings seem cosmically critical.
That's right. So it's really been beautiful, like having gone through that experience and now going through this experience, like to see my father so at peace.
Mm.
It allows me to also feel that peace.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, feel the peace from my mother, because having experienced her sick for, a couple of months, that was not a
Mm.
way for her to live. So had she been older and unable to do the things that she wanted to do, like there would have been a lot of resistance, most likely.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm grateful that she didn't have to have that lived experience any longer.
Yeah.
And she's far more available to me now than she was in human form. Now it's different. I can't pick up the phone and da 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 da, but I also don't pick up the phone and complain about things to her, right? So it's given me a lot of space to have the purity of love with her,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Rather than like the humanness of love is very different than like the pure light love.
It's what you talk about. It's what you teach. It's not just knowing that you love each other. It's the feeling it on a level unparalleled.
Yeah, it's like there's no words. I know. I see her in the sun and the moon, and it's just, she's literally everywhere. Like there's no place that she isn't.
Yeah, as you are with your boys, you're at the source of life for them. What a phenomenal job you're doing, being the source of life for them and ultimately for so many.
Yeah. And there's a lot. I mean, this is a whole, maybe we'll talk about this in another show, but there's been a lot of generational stuff with mothers and daughters in my family.
Mm-hmm.
And no daughter ever got the gift of having a life without her mother next door. My mother did it with her mother. My grandmother did it with her mother, but they all lived very long. And I believe my mother's gift to me was to leave early so that I could heal. And so that never had to continue. And then I've had boys, so it ends with me. And that, I believe, is her ultimate sacrifice and gift.
Ends with you and begins with you.
That's right. So anytime I'm resisting, it's like I'm throwing her gift back. So I just work to keep wrapping my arms around whatever the feeling is. Just have the feeling. It's usually about 90 seconds, people. It won't kill you. We can all pretend like we're in an improv troupe. And we feel like dancing. But aren't we? Oh, my dad said that the other day. He was like, he looked at me, he was like, is this real? It's like the middle of the day. I was like, what? He was like, all of this.
It's a good question.
Is it even real? I was like, oh, Dad, this is so good.
This is my jam.
I mean, it's like, what is it really? And I was like, I have no freaking clue, actually.
Yeah.
And I said, it's whatever you want it to be, Dad. He said, yeah, I think it is.
Choose.
So a good place to end. It's whatever you want it to be, people.
So that is the question. So before we complete, if you're on the stage platform, you have a microphone, you get to talk to the world. What do you want to give them?
Just tell the truth.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
And you did this with no AC? Did I hear it?
I'm going to tell you in the post podcast party exactly how this went down. Thank you, Anna Kay. You've made my day, my week, my month, my year. This is part one of an infinite number of conversations that I desire and dream that we'll have together. Really, thank you.
Thank you.
Ah. Sometimes when I'm really moved, I don't really use words. I just like make a noise, like,
Oh, I know.
"Ah,
I do.
yeah, like,
You're not my first acting friend.
I don't know what. Thank you.
Thank you.
God bless you. Thank you. Oh, wow. That was so everything. My goodness. What an incredible opportunity to be with someone who has gone through it and is willing to share about it so authentically, so humanly, so vivaciously. Anna K. Morris. Find out more about her. Follow her on Instagram. It's all in the show notes. You can find her on her website. She has a panoply of beautiful offerings. If you want to get into her world, hit her up. She will have your back. I'm so excited to have finally had her on the podcast. We've known each other for a while now, but obviously it was meant to be today, and we chose it that way. We chose that this was our day, this was our time. I hope that you'll choose powerfully too, like choosing to join this creative community. Choose to be with a group of artist citizens who are on fire to live a life of passion and purpose. You can find out more about the classes at www.cohenactingstudio.com or follow the Joyride on Instagram at Robyn Cohen Acting Studio. Let Instagram become one of your favorite corners of the internet inside of this community. I can't wait to welcome you there. I can't wait to see you in class. You're always welcome as an auditor, of course. We will find the place that is meant for you so you can discover and meet your talent. There is a seat with your name on it. And by the way, if you enjoyed this episode, if there's something that resonated for you, share it with a friend. You never know who might really need to hear this. So until next time on Thriving Artists, the Daily Joyride, be so well, my friends, and let's thrive.